And a happy Monday. Welcome to Red Sox Now. It is so great to be back. It feels like we don't do shows over the weekend. It feels like a week has passed. So I was chomping at the bit to get back at it this Monday morning and bring you. We're in the 90s with episodes of Red Sox Now. I'm your host, Mike Antonellis, one of the radio and TV broadcasters for the Woo Sox. I was there over the weekend. The Yankees AAA affiliate swept Worcester. Yankees have some good prospects. We'll talk about that. Spencer Jones, Everson Pereira. They got some good ones, and we'll get into that because it leads into the trade talk, and we'll go over the Cubs series, talk about the stretch. Red Sox had some scouts in Arizona, and, of course, we'll get to your comments, but we have to do this. We're obligated to. It is now a Red Sox Now podcast law that we've instituted. You've got to subscribe. You're commenting. I keep saying we want your comments. We are getting the comments. They're off the hizzo. Does that? I don't know. I can't speak cool, but your comments are fantastic. We are almost at 1,000 subscribers. Maybe as you're watching this, we've already surpassed. And thank you. The channel is growing, and it's all credit to you. You're watching. You like it. I love doing this. I love being here with you. And I could hear all of you. I put it in the comments. I could hear you guys and gals on Friday when the Cubs had a 3-run first and you were saying, see, it's the All-Star break. How are you feeling today? I'm fine. They salvaged the game. Was it what you want? Of course not. Are you going to win every series here? No. You won 10 straight games. You're still one of the better teams over the last 37. Yeah, but, now it shows how we measure up. No, it doesn't. It's the best team in baseball. The Yankees lost games to the Cubs. A lot of good teams lost to the Cubs. It's on the road. You avoided getting swept. I don't think in July 20th that you can just write in pen, we don't measure up now. How did you pitch in the series? I thought the starters were great. I know Giolito struggled in the first, but he kept you in the game. And that run that he gave up, his fourth run, was an inherited runner. But I thought overall his stuff was really bad in that first inning. And he saved you enough where you didn't have to dip in that bullpen. It could have gone down a road where he was out of there in the second inning. If he's out of there in the second inning, that screws up your whole series. And maybe screws up your Sunday and your win. Bayo looked good. The offense wasn't there. Why? Well, I see all these things on X. Oh, where's the offense? Why haven't they woken up? You're facing good arms now. That happens. You face good arms in Tampa Bay, and you didn't score a lot of runs at times. That's how it looks. Every situation is different. Yes, the Rocky series looks different in the Nationals. Yeah, we know that. Great teams. The Dodgers have struggles against great pitchers sometimes. It happens to everyone. The bottom line is they got out of there with a win. Crochet wasn't on his A game and still went 6 innings and gave up 1 run. That's why he is my first half MVP. 11-4, 2.19 ERA. And then, with Abreu, who had the bat flip of the century, that belongs in the bat flip Hall of Fame. He hits 2 homers. But something we talked about with this depth, which we'll get in with the comments. Who were you able to bring off the bench Sunday? Alex Bregman. And not only did that home run give you some distance, it allowed you not to use Chapman. So you could save him for Monday. But this is the thing with baseball players. They don't think about the last 2 games. They turn the page or on to the next one. And you avoided the sweep. And, good stuff. Abreu with a couple of home runs. Bregman, Crochet was great. Whitlock, Hicks, and Alcala. Alcala just continues to shove. It was terrific in that win. So, again, this is what I'm talking about. They did lose the series, but the stretch. I tweeted this out on Sunday. There are not many teams in Major League Baseball that are over 500 on the road. It is really remarkable Last year there were 14 teams that finished over 500 on the road. There are 5. There's only 5 teams in baseball over 500 on the road. That's incredible to me. On July 20th. So what are we looking at? We're looking at, like I said, I would take 5 and 7. I would, 6 and 6, yes, but I would take 5 and 7. You're still, as we are here on Monday, and I know it's hard to do, and we want to look ahead, but right now, at this second, you are one of the wild cards in the American League. That's all that matters. You have a 1.5 lead over Tampa Bay. That's all that matters. Texas is knocking on the door, the Angels, but you're one of the leaders. So if you can try to get through this stretch, and you're going to have to win a series against one of these good teams, and maybe Philly is one of those teams. And this is big stuff now because you've got Buehler and Fitz. This is a big boy series. Zach Wheeler goes tonight. And then on Tuesday, it's Christopher Sanchez, another stud, 2 in a row. And then Wednesday, it wraps around with Giolito against Jesus Luzardo. I mean, this is what I've been talking about with pitching, where it all goes back to that. And I think all you guys and gals realize that. But Philly, who leads the division, I mean, those are 3 really good arms. The top 2 are studs. Why you have to have that? And I don't think the Red Sox do. I mean, I like Giolito and Bale, but I still think they're 3s and 4s. Wheeler, Christopher Sanchez, that's a 1-2 punch. But again, remember they lost that first series to Toronto during the 16-game stretch, and it ended up okay. Yeah, and you know what? We are going to learn a lot. If they continue to go against really good arms and can't figure them out all the time, yeah, that would be a concern, and I would agree with you on that. Because you have to, once in a while, beat those good pitchers. And you have to grind out those 2-1, 3-2 games. You have to win like that in baseball. You have to. There's no other way, I think we look at too many other things sometimes. We talk about World Series teams, but in the end, you win World Series by pitching, right? I wouldn't, bullpen, but you can remake that. But you have to have good starters. You have to play the game the right way. You have to run the bases correctly. You have to play great defense. A lot of the same things that have been going on forever, you have to do. It's completely a different animal. And these games are kind of like that. You can't make mistakes. They got lucky yesterday. Rafaela makes a bad error at second base. I don't love him playing second, but I'm okay with what they're doing right now, which we'll get into the comments in just a few. This is a heck of a series coming up. Heck of a series. All right, as you see, the Red Sox scouts, Yankee scouts, looking at Arizona starting pitchers. Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly getting a first look. And I mentioned this before. That's what a lot of this is about. They don't care about numbers. They want to see the guy in person. You can see things in person. And when you trade for guys, as we've seen, and for some of you that don't know this, because I don't expect everyone to know everything about baseball, Kyle Harrison comes here, and I learned this over the weekend. I mean, they've taught him a cutter. They want him to grip his changeup differently. I'll tell you a great story about Eduardo Rodriguez. I was with Eddie in Portland. We were playing Bowie during that trade, Andrew Miller for Rodriguez. And he just switched and came to our clubhouse. And I was talking to him a little bit about, he was not good in Double-A with Bowie. And then he came to the Red Sox, and he's throwing 96, 97, and I'm like, what? And he dominated. Go look at his stats. I might be able to pull it up quickly here. I know I'm getting off tangent a little bit. We'll get back. It's what I do. You know that. But it's trying to make a point. When Rodriguez was with Bowie, he was 3-7 with a 4.79 ERA. And people are going, we traded Andrew Miller for this. with Portland that year, 6 starts, 3-1. He gave up 4 runs, .96 ERA. He struck out over a batter an inning. What was the big deal that they did? He told me, Baltimore didn't want me throwing my fastball a lot. They told him you could throw it every pitch. So there are things that the scouts will look at that they like. Sliders, they're big slider guys. We know that in the organization. And there are things that they'll tweak and do differently. Like with Alcala, they told him ditch his slider. He's just fastball, curveball, 2 pitches. So they'll go there. They'll have super advanced reports. And we'll see how it goes. I will tell you this. The Yankees are there. The Yankees have players that you don't. And I saw them this weekend. Rafael Flores, a top catching prospect, is legit. A catching prospect. If the Yankees want to make a deal, when you have a catching prospect like that, that's a big deal. Who's already shown in 2 AAA games that he's good. Spencer Jones is probably going to be in the big leagues this year for the Yankees. He is one of the best young hitters I've seen in, my 5-6 years doing AAA ball. Is unbelievable. So there are guys that they have. That's the one thing you have to understand when you start talking about your organization. I know we have great players in our organization. I don't think they have as much pitching depth as you think. These other teams have a lot. Yes, in AA, I know those kids are coming up, but in terms of what you have now, Houck, by the way, went back on the injured list. You basically have Kyle Harrison and Cooper Criswell. That's it. So it's interesting. Carlos Carrasco pitched for Scranton in AAA and went 7 innings. They have Jeimer Candelario playing there. They have a lot of big leaguers. So it's going to be interesting. Arizona holds a lot of cards. Wild card, no pun intended. If they sink or swim, but they have a lot of players that people want. Cubs need a third baseman. And maybe they look at Suarez. Let's get to your comments. They are good as always. They're red hot. At Peter Garcia, 6645. I'm a relatively new subscriber. Thank you. It's almost impossible to predict what is going to happen. They have extra outfielders, so I think they will get something done. But who knows? I'm just glad they are still relevant. So I have mentioned this a few times, but I do not ever think everyone knows, is on every single word. So if I repeat myself to a lot of you that watch all the time, I have to. I do it when I do play-by-play. But here's what I like. This situation with 60-so games left. Alex Bregman missed 5 weeks. Yoshida is still missed so much time. So I think you have to factor that in. Well, what does Bregman have to do with the extra outfielders? Well, because if he doesn't play, you put Meyer to third and you have Rafaela in, so the extra outfielder helps. So I think with Bregman and Yoshida with those injuries, and if you traded Duran, you can't give those guys any days off. Then if you had one guy get hurt, you've lost all your depth. And if you did a package where you sent the password and Duran, you don't have a lot of ready big league outfielders. For where you're at right now, you're playing differently right now. If this was the start of the season, yes. But I love this. And what did it turn into? You had a veteran that was available off the bench, and what did he do? He socked a 3-run shot, Alex Bregman. So I am all for keeping this. And listen, I know Ken Rosenthal Saturday was talking about getting Joe Ryan and that Duran would have to be in that deal. We don't know if the Twins like Duran. And you're saying, well, there's a lot to like. Absolutely, but that he might not be their kind of guy. We don't know. And A.J. Przinsky chimed in and said it would take Duran in a ton. Yes. But I'm fine with this. And I still think if moving Duran, it just screws your lineup. You don't have a leadoff hitter. Well, Roman Anthony did in AAA. I know that. But I like speed and game wreckers. And, I'm all for keeping him. Unless you get just blown away. At Ellsworth 1956, the only way you can get a fair deal at the deadline is if the other team needs a dump salary. Yeah. So then you have some leverage. Definitely. If you're a big market team, yep. Like, for instance, if Atlanta got to the point where they're like, they wanted out of the Murphy deal, you could pay for that. Yeah, you're right. At Remdog3037, I had to read it because of the handle. I like the handles. You guys have great handles. I mean, mine are so original. At the Radio Mike. Oh, such original handle. Or what is mine on YouTube? Mike Antonellis Media. I mean, yeah, come on. I guess it's because I'm somewhat professional. I have to keep them somewhat professional. All right, Remdog, do you think we could trade Walker Buehler for Luis Severino if we take all of Severino's contract and pay the rest of Buehler's? Would you want to do that? Do you think that's a smart way to spend? It would be, what, $8 more million for probably the buyout on Buehler and then pay all of Severino? No. I know he wants out of there, but I wouldn't do that. I'd keep Buehler, to be honest, just because you really don't have a lot of pitching depth. All right, I'm excited. I'll be watching Monday night. I'm not thinking about the next series. I'm thinking about the game tonight. You know, in these kind of games, you hope to match the starter. And stranger things can happen. The game's not played on paper. And we have no chance with Walker Buehler. They work in between starts. I think it's more mechanical with him. I think the velocity's there. It's just mechanical. The stuff is still good, but it's been a mechanical issue. We don't know if he can fix that. I think there's still some unknown, but we need these two guys. This is huge. Buehler and Fitz coming up. All right, thank you for watching. Comment on the show. It's a Monday edition of Red Sox Now. Subscribe to the channel. It's all presented by FanArch. I'm Mike Antonellis. Thank you for watching. Follow on X. Have a great Monday, and we'll talk to you on Tuesday.